look at where you want to go. If you want to go to 10 million, I always say, then why not 100? And then work backwards. That'll tell you need in place. Because at 100 million, you need other things in place besides just you. You need people in place, you need systems in place, and more likely you're going to need capital.
Welcome to Unstoppable Podcast with Harry Sardinas, inspiring conversations with influential millionaires, investors, thought leaders, entrepreneurs who are making a massive difference with their innovative products and services, and sharing the challenges and the wisdom of how they sold their first million.
So, Steve, why do we have these, or the main failure of the startups that we see out there is basically exactly because what you just say. Why people are getting so wrong? Why very little startups are succeeding? And I give you more element. Out of the tech millionaires that we interview here, right? Few of them are actually software developers. They are expert in marketing and sales. They know how to go out there, tell the people what product they want in what form, and then they go back, they pay some developers, and and they do it, and they become a tech millionaires without knowing how to write any code. And the people that are from tech, they come to a podcast and they spend the whole time talking about sales and marketing and how they find the first client and how they pivot and how they put in front of people and say, guys, I saw that you were geeks, code people. You spend the whole podcast talking about marketing strategy and how you did it. So why, Steve, the little success rate is between the people that focus in sales, marketing, and put them from people to get feedback. And we have a huge failing rate, exactly what you point out. Entrepreneurs putting on money, effort, and energy created this massive elephant product that will change the world, and they don't know, nobody buys. Why do you think that is the source of this problem?
I think a lot of times it's because they don't know. A lot of times what happens is an entrepreneur thinks of a great idea or a great service, whatever it is, but they don't know the other side. It's kind of like the flywheel. When you get it started, you got to get it started some way. And a lot of times they don't know. They don't know that you had to have this marketing. The marketing, sometimes people think that marketing is this thing that just happens. It doesn't. The one thing is that you have to have, the thing is, you have to understand what marketing is. And it's really, you're going towards a customer that has emotions and you're selling towards those emotions. And so how do you generate great sales with your client base? And that's the one thing is people create products all the time, not even thinking about their customers. They think about they're thinking that they're the customer. A lot of times you're not the customer. You have to think about who is my customer off the top, right up front. And make sure that your pain points are big enough, that you're selling something, if it's something that's going to be that they're actually going to want to buy, and I also look at this too is when you're creating a product, are you just creating a product that everybody else is creating already? If there's 10 of you out there, you're gonna have a hard time selling your product because it's already out there. Things that make a difference are the ones that create products that actually get them in a different lane. I would say, are they creating a product that is actually making them look different? That if there's 10 of you, those are no different. I'm going to buy your stuff on Amazon and there's 10 of them on Amazon already. So I would say that's the one thing you look at is what is it that makes you different than everybody else out there? If you can say price, it's not a deal. If it's something that it's not a game changer, that's the one thing is you really got to look at. I've looked at companies and they always come. The thing is we're cheaper, but we're better. I'm like, if you're better, then why are you cheaper? It doesn't make any sense. It's like I'm like, if you're better than them, why are you cheaper? And so that's why I look at it as I always look at the company, but then it's also the one thing I look at is these founders, are they really an entrepreneur? Do they understand it is not for the faint of heart? That's the thing. It is something that you sleep and eat and drink entrepreneurship all day long. And it is fun and it's sometimes stressful, all above. But I can tell you what, on the other side, it's what you look for. It's what happens on the other side. And that's where the fun parts. And I've talked to great entrepreneurs that have done some wonderful things. And they always, the one thing I always say is what happens a lot of times when entrepreneurs, they become comfortable, that is where the killer is. You got to be really careful about that. When they start making money, they become comfortable. That's where you got to be careful. That's where you really start to step up, and it's okay, because comfort is not what you want. You want to know what's on the other side, and that's where I look at this as an entrepreneur then becomes a business owner. You're not in the business. You're outside the business running, I've seen great entrepreneurs. What they do is they've created products or created companies and brought somebody else to run it. That's what you want. And that's where you become, an entrepreneur, but you're not actually in the day-to-day grind. You're outside. And that becomes fun too.
I'm glad that you touched on this, because this is the other paradigm that we want to discuss as you as a private equity investor, because the 0 to 1 million, which is the hardest million, right, require one type of entrepreneur. But 1 to 10 million is completely different for games. Like, you have to learn everything and learn something new. People think, oh, you know what, I'm going to have my business and I'm going to become a billionaire like Elon Musk and the Google guys and Mark Zuckerberg and all these people. And I'm going to be a billionaire like all of them, without knowing that this is exception of the case, because how the dynamic works is that the entrepreneurs that they are wired from 0 to 1 million, they are different than those ones that are going to go to 1 to 3 million, 1 to 5 million. The dynamic change because they didn't sign up to be a leader. They didn't sign up to design procedures. They didn't sign up. 0 to 1 million, you depend on the client. If you don't have a client, you don't have any business. That's why we're talking about marketing and sales a lot. Right. But well, after you get the million and you get some kind of indication of product market fit, well, it's more about systems. It's more about procedures. It's more about how to get the marketing strategy consistent so everybody can use it in the company. And some entrepreneurs that tell me, Harry, I'm getting bored. I didn't sign up for this leadership thing. I didn't sign up. I signed up to hustle. This is who I am. And and now I'm sitting and I'm bored. So Steve, tell us what biggest challenge that you have in the private equity space when you have to tell a founder, look, it's time for you to hire a CEO, for you to overlook that. We know taking away your company, we know doing anything, but you will be more helpful in the company if you want to go 10 million, 100 million. If you are an advisor, if you are in a board of directors, if you are a consultant. But the dynamic that this company is about to take, you're not wired for this, or tell us any challenge that you have in this and how you become the challenge.
I think the thing is, here's the thing I look at. Entrepreneurs like that need to change. The seat becomes different. They're the visionary. Visionary is, if they're the true visionary, that is what their skill set is. That is what they see. They see something that way ahead of everybody else. That's the seat that I want them to stay in. I don't want them to run the company day to day. That makes no sense at all. But I want them to see the thing is, and here's the thing, take them out of the day-to-day stuff like that. It opens them up to more creativity, more ideas, a lot other things
100%,
where they were not thinking before. And so that is where it comes in. If they're a true entrepreneur, the visionary, that is where I want them to stay. And that's where, then they become just as they were, just as much as they were before.
They had to be willing to change. And some of them are not willing to to change. Some of them want to run. Some of them want to go from 1 to 10 in the same way that they went from 0 to 1, and
Yeah, I
it
mean,
really doesn't work. It's not because even if you work 10 times harder, you're not gonna get to 10 million. It doesn't really
no.
work like this. The dynamic change completely, right, Steve?
Well, here's the thing. I always say this. Look at where you want to go. If you want to go to 10 million, I always say, then why not 100? And then work backwards. That'll tell you need in place. Because at 100 million, you need other things in place besides just you. You need people in place, you need systems in place, and more than likely, you're going to need capital. The thing is, that's where if you work backwards on that, then it becomes obvious that for them to run it is going to be really hard. And so that is where I would say, and then also ego. Leave the ego at the door. I would say entrepreneurs, I know they don't like to do that. They struggle with the ego. But that is really what
We all
happens.
Follow us for more interviews with world's most influential, audacious entrepreneurs that overcame challenges and adversity, providing you with the blueprint of how they sold their first million so you can grow your business exponentially.